We're talking about veneer this morning. I'm going to talk about veneer. Awesome question out of Hokkaido, Japan this morning. How stoked am I about that? And several inquiries along the line of what's the deal with veneer? Specifically, veneer storage. What's the deal? What percentage moisture does my veneer storage need to be? I don't know. I cannot tell you that your veneer storage needs to be this or that. Can't tell you that. There are plenty of folks who will tell you that. They will say, oh, your veneer needs to be 7%, blah, 3%, just too much little sometimes like that, and I don't have it. I'll tell you this, Xavier, in Korea, love it. Question from Hokkaido, Japan today. Veneer storage. They have heard it should be a certain percent ambient. Let's talk about veneer storage because it was one of the first. There were two big questions I had before I was gonna put my lifetime into pressing decks. And the first question was pressure regulation in the press. Like, if I can make a mold that works, how much pressure and how do I know, and blah, blah, blah. I think a lot of us in the makers movement have experienced that question and the force it can exert against deciding to do the job. The second question I had was, now, and it's got background. Today's a great question because the second question was about veneer and moisture. Now, you got to rewind the tape back to 2003, 4, 5. I'm working with a small brand back then and really enjoying myself working with this small brand just as a rep, stocking shops, and had my youngest was small. I could take my kid around, stock the shops, and it was just great. And boards were so small, and I was wondering about, how does this great mystery of curved laminate happen? And I was assured rather forcefully, both from people in the small brand and from people in production, that there is no way to press skateboards in Ohio because the climate is all wrong. Words like barometric were used. It was all very convincing. And so from 2005 till 2008, I was working with a small brand, and then I was working on building my own small brand, and the whole time researching about, pressing boards. Turned out, I wound up, having to bite the bullet on press force measurement and just go without. I literally was like, well, it might not work, but I'm going to go ahead and build a press and blah, 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 blah. I won't be able to afford the $500 pressure sensors, and they wouldn't have worked either because the pressure is so, but the veneer, I was like, well, I'm just going to try it. So in order to do the best I could, and I'll apologize right now for the lighting down here. The lighting is very dark as we exit the work area of the shop. Here's the work area. There's my shaping table, and then I've got another room over there I'm not using for the shop. And then here's the pressing area, cutting area, and here's the glue rolling table and the sanding area. And then I got boards on the ceiling and nice 7-foot ceilings. But as I go this way, it gets darker. I just pulled, you guys know I redid my lights over there, which means I moved around a bunch of clip lights. And I just pulled all my lighting out of here. But this was the first thing I worked on. So as we come out of the shop toward the staircase, here's my veneer room. And I apologize for the lighting, but what I don't apologize for is how messy it is in here. As we step through the room into the veneer room, it is a grand mess. I removed an entire bay. It's a 3-bay room. 1 bay there, 1 bay here, and 1 bay there. Room is shaped kind of like a T. And I've got, this is a modest supply of veneer on the front shelf coming through the door. So right there's the door, and all the door is draped. I just draped the door. Now, I didn't want to use a door on it. I wanted to use a drape so I could control airflow to some extent. And simplicity. Come on, I was tired. But what I did in this room was, it was a stone foundation room. I put paneling on it, top all the way to the bottom. But I didn't just panel it. I love you, Xavier. Thanks for your kind comment. I'm really happy to be back at it. For me, content's first. Encouraging people is first. I'm done using my content and encouragement to promote my personal brand. I want to promote the whole deal of a new way to get skateboards, a better way, in my opinion, to get skateboards for you guys. Good morning, Mike Villalobos. We're talking about veneer today. So the first thing I did was I put plastic on the, I put up a layer of I framed it with 2x3s. I framed it in 2x3s, and then I put up plastic behind the 2x3s, and then I put up R14 insulation. So it's plastic, R14, then plastic again, and then paneling. And my goal, and again, guys, I was just spitballing. I was just thinking, well, I'm going to want to do everything I can to make sure that whatever moisture I have in there, that I've got a, constant moisture level. And there are going to be fluctuations, but what I want is for the fluctuations to be slow. So the paneling just is about slowing down moisture fluctuations in the room. Now, this is maybe overkill. I think a lot of people could take a section of your garage or work area and just frame up with 2x2 or 2x4s and just drape an area and stick ye old home dehumidifier. This is an ancient dehumidifier. It's running at, I'm sorry everything's backward, but it's at 35% humidity. It's not running right now. And then I grabbed a Harbor Freight hygrometer. Yeah, hygrometer. And I hung it. I've got the hygrometer run. It comes through the door right here. Runs this way, behind a plastic, up to the ceiling. It runs along the ceiling, back, over here to where my curing stack is. And then its little sensor is right here. And that's it. That's all I'm doing for all that high-tech worry. And right now, I've got a reading on here. It's 24% inside there. This is like a $5 Harbor Freight hygrometer. I mean, it's really, sorry about the lighting, but it's really, I didn't even mount it to the wall properly. Look at that. It's just hanging there. And it's been hanging here since 2009. What is it now, 2019? That's like 7 years. And I never moved it. But this was the first thing I built. This room was the first thing I built. And it's a mess, but it works. Or maybe it doesn't matter. But the goal for me wasn't to achieve some crazy number of 2%, 7%, 3%. There are numbers out there that people will tell you, no, there's no reason for 35% humidity except that that's as low as the thing goes. and I will say that. I want the humidity to be as low as the machine will go because drier is better. Drier veneer is lighter. Yes, Mike, I love that you can see my math on that. Drier is better. But like in order to get your veneer down. Now, I also played around with buying a little machine. You pull the trigger and it tells you what moisture is in the wood. No, thank you. you know what, I didn't want to know because I was certain I was going to fail, that my boards were going to be horrible and garbage. And yeah, and I was willing to make garbage because I was getting garbage already on so many levels from my previous involvement. And I was like, forget it. You know, the worst case scenario is I'll have a press in my basement and I'll make garbage and I'll skate garbage, because I spent back then the bar to entry was I had to spend $5,000 on heat gun. Don't heat gun your veneer. I do need a heat gun. My heat gun burned out a while ago, so I just do nothing that requires a heat gun anymore. I had to do something, and I used an old hair dryer. It burned out too. I just used the oldest, crappiest tools, and I'm having a great time. Back to the veneer rabbit trail. Yeah, stab in the wood once you press the deck. You can. Well, and let's just get real, man. Can we just get real about the moisture content of your veneer? All right. Let's say that the moisture content of my veneer in the storage room is a certain amount. Okay. Let's put it at 25%, just as don't lock into the number, but let's say I'm at 25%. And I bring it to my glue table here, okay? I bring it from the drape room, right, over there. I bring it to the glue table, and I start to work. All right, so the glue, okay, what percent moisture is this sweet stuff here? What is that? Yeah, it's not a gun that measures temperatures and a probe that measures moisture. But it's 100% humidity. So I understood from the get-go that if my veneer is really dry, then it's going to soak in the glue very aggressively, quickly, and in higher quantity than if my veneer is more moist. Okay? So that's a thing that can affect your glue joints. I also knew that huge changes in moisture give rise and increase the phenomenon that we all know and love as warping. So after I had been making boards for a minute and seeing that room usually runs about 50% humidity, I thought I'm never going to get it down really low. I mean, it's funny because it's stabilized out between 35 and 50%, and it does fluctuate based on ambient conditions. You know, in the more moist times of the year, it might be 50% in there. I've even seen it spike up to 60% in there, but what I focus on is I don't care if you use too much glue and you have huge changes in moisture, you're gonna maybe increase warping. That is a factor in the great mystery. And hey, I think every board warps. I do. The question is, can you split the differences and make a great deck? Most of the difference industry-wide in warping is in the concave design. They make a hipless board with a low concave that you can't really tell. It's off-center, warped, and they're all wabi-sabi. They all are. Give up. Stop obsessing. What you want to look for is a board that's well-bellied and that the holes are in line with each other, and just rip that thing. Now, big twist like the one we looked at the other day. This is a big twist. This would never make it out of the shop, right? These are very rare, and I'm grateful for that. But the veneer, stabilize it. That's the key thing I have to say about veneer storage. Stabilize it. Make sure that every piece of veneer is whatever moisture content it has. Do everything you can to ensure that it's the same moisture content from one end of the veneer to the other, so that you don't have a wetter end and a drier end. Don't put your dehumidifier blowing directly on the ends of your wood stack. Mine blows into the wall, finds its way up there, and filters back into the stacks. I don't rotate my stock, but that would be smarter than what I do, which is I don't do anything. So I just leave it there and I do leave air current space around it. and I am not unhappy with the results over the years. I've been pressing since 2000. I started building my press in 2009. That was a process of building a mold and answering questions. So 2010, I pressed my first boards. They are magnifique. They really are. Even now, I guess it's been 5 or 6 years. I could pull those down off the ceiling and skate them. They're really cool. So I think it's Ben who hit me up out of Hokkaido, Japan. It's Xavier that's hitting me up out of Korea here. Boy, what a blessing to be with you guys this morning. So we talked about veneer. Look, drape a storage area. How about draping? You know, we have all this great space under our workbenches. What about draping under your workbench? And drape onto your workbench, build some shelving, get it off the floor, and put a dehumidifier near it there. And I don't mean drape always with plastic. My dehumidifier, fun fact, over the years I learned, if I seal the room off, the dehumidifier doesn't work. It needs fresh, wet air. It needs to be processed. Oh, also, fun fact, my dehumidifier sits in this room, and I am not going to come down here and empty it. You know how they fill up? So I attached a hose to its bucket, and I ran that hose down my workshop. See the hose? Ran the hose down my workshop under the bench set to a floor drain that I have. Very high tech. I mean, this is some F-15. What are we up to now? F-32s? I don't know. I never served in the military. God bless our military friends. Xavier, you're in the military. God bless you. I'm so happy, Darren Tyler, to hear that this question kind of hits home with you. I think this will be at least grist for the mill for you guys. We've had F-21 we're up to now. So I run a constant dehumidifier that's always refreshing the air, keeping it dry, keeping it real down here. And I think that will serve you well if you can do that. Yeah, that is funny. Eric Sanders mentions, because this used to be a mortuary prep room, he knows what that drain once was used for. But irony is, at the other end of my workshop is an old porcelain sink, and that was the prep room drain, a sink. When we came to see the house, there was a massive porcelain embalming table, and it drained into a sink. It had been grandfathered in, and I just think it's awesome. But that's today's topic this morning, is about the moisture in the veneer. I think that everybody is right to be concerned and curious about this. I think it is important that you stabilize your veneer and you keep it stable. I think that 50% ambient humidity is a great humidity to mitigate the soaking of the glue and get a nice good glue soak. I think that if you want your boards to be light, you need to post-cure them really well. I use full 16th in almost all my layups. I have some 1/20th kicking around, but on boards with 7/16ths, very, buy from Life Skate. By the way, this whole video is like sponsored by Life Skateboards, my friends. I have been in cahoots with Life since I was running my business here, and I'm not a brand anymore. I'm not a business. I ride Life Skateboards because they're exactly what I used to make for a brand. And if I pick a brand and also Sam is 2 hours away. I get to go to the workshop. I get to talk to you guys from there. I love what's going on there. I want there to be 100 brands like Life Skateboards. Darren Tyler, I actually have a Dunkin' Donuts thermos I got, and we will start to thermos up. But my friends, it is important. It is impactful. The amount of moisture in your veneer is important, but it's not. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. 50% ambient humidity is perfectly good, and I think you get it. It's not brain surgery, my friends. You can do this in one end of your garage. You could build one bench and drape underneath it. Run a small, modest $100 dehumidifier. Keep your veneer controlled. Maybe you'd have to drape a larger area so you get the return on the dehumidifier. Sometimes they need more air. I don't know. But if I pulled this off in 2009 and 10, building this out after running a brand on the other model, if I pulled this off, you can pull this off. And if you pull this off, then your local and area skaters and your friends can enjoy something that is just a little bit rare and a little bit precious. And I don't mean a little bit. Well, I don't know if you guys know, I've got a YouTube channel. It's called Captain Lou. It's spelled Captain Lou. I didn't want to use Happy Little Skateboards with Lou Ross. It's too hard to spell. Nobody can find it. You can't, nothing. And right now the channel is starting to populate. I put my first motorcycle ride video on there yesterday. My content is good. My quality is low. Enjoy. I hope that I never graduate to higher tech. I love just being low speed, high drag, enjoying. Yeah, Bryce and Sam over at Life are a great example of a small operation. Sam was pressing on a bolt press, multiple bolts on just a mold. He was pressing on that back in the day, and he's graduated up to what you can see now. So you go on lifeskateboard.com, you can take a look at what they're doing, and also I'll be doing visit videos there too. The warm weather's not here, but I'm riding my motorcycle, and I'm figuring out how to do ride videos because they are therapy for all of us. So, and today I've got some folks coming over for some skateboarding, and we're going to see if we can catch a little of that and share it with you. The journey is awesome. Sharing it makes it even better. Thanks, friends. Captain Lou here. Big thumbs up, skull rings, breast knuckles, all the good stuff. I'll catch you guys soon. Peace be with your spirits.